Hello, this is Tomasz from Software Mansion, and I'll be your host for today's episode of our new series called Software Mansion. And this episode, we have a special guest. Hey, Simon.
Hey, Tomek, glad to be here. Happy to be one of your first guests in this new episode, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So, Simon Grimm is a content creator, he's a React Native developer. He used to be a native iOS developer, he used to be an Ionic developer, and he's finally on the good side of things. And he's one of the first guests to be here in our new series. And this new series is like taking React Native to the next level. So in this series, we're gonna share some success stories, some case studies of the work that we at Software Mansion do for our clients. We're gonna talk about getting into the ecosystem. We're gonna talk about how to, stay informed, how to be on the wave in the React Native ecosystem. So I really hope that you're gonna like the series. If you want us to invite like other content creators and other people from the ecosystem, just write down in the comments on who would you like to see next. So let's dive into this episode.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I always love to talk about like the backstory and a bit about what's going on currently in the React Native ecosystem because there's a lot going on. I also have some opinions about the things and the topics going on. So yeah, really happy to be here and discuss this with you today.
Okay, so for the first question, how did you get into content creation?
Yeah, that's a good question. We just talked about this up front. I just got the notification from YouTube. I did my first video, I think 11 years ago. So that has been
Oh, that's huge!
2015.
Congrats!
Yeah.
Congrats!
Um, Honestly, back then, I got into it because I just tried new technology next to my job. Back then, it was sort of like Dart. I honestly got started. Like, I tried to use Dart for a project I wanted to use, and there were like essentially no resources on Dart for the web out there. So Dart is also the language used by Flutter now. Um, and I just thought, well, maybe I should just document my stuff. So I brought up a blog, what people did back then. By the way, people in 2015 already said, or in 2014, blogging is dead, but guess what? It still worked out. So you're never really late to that stuff. You can probably just start one today. And I just documented what I did. And from there, like, it just kept going. First, I started writing the blog post. And at some point, I added YouTube videos, just like the YouTube, honestly, for a very long time was just an afterthought for me. I was just doing it because I saw someone else doing it. And I thought, yeah, maybe let's do it as well. Who's going to watch coding videos on YouTube, which idiot? But yeah, turns out many people do actually. And that has worked pretty well back then. So honestly, I just got started to document my own journey and on what I learned back then.
Okay, yeah, this is cool. You have a lot of subscribers. It's like the last time I checked, it was like over 120,000. So this is impressive.
Yeah, once you get to those numbers, you always look to other people and think, oh, they have more. Then you look to like other creators, they have like 160 or 200, or you look up like Primogen and Theo, and they're at like, I don't know, 500K. But yeah, it's pretty weird to picture like 120,000 people. That's like I go to football here in Germany to Dortmund, and there are like 80,000 people in that stadium. So imagine I'm on the floor there and like all those people watching. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, this is impressive. So was there some like moment when you felt that it really clicked and you want to devote your like whole career to content creation and being on YouTube and being on the social media and creating content for other developers?
Yeah, I think I don't know if it really clicked. It just built up gradually. So the beginning was really slow, but I just kept going. I don't know why, but I just wanted to document my stuff. And at some point, people said, "Hey, this is cool," and I was happy. Um, but I did all of that while having a full time job, and always on the commute. I was listening back then to the Smart Passive Income podcast from Pat Flynn. I don't know, maybe some people know it. And I just got this idea of like, one day I would love to have my own business and just like do passive income or just be my own boss. I didn't like the corporate policies back then and some things that were going on in companies. It's not always cool. Plus the daily commute. So this feeling of I want to do my own thing just kept growing. And I just stick to like doing content, and then I tried out what people said, like do an online course. So I actually built online courses back then, and I made a couple of sales here and there, and it wasn't really like life-changing money back then. It was probably like, I don't know, $600 or something. But at some point it was quite regular income, and I thought, I'm doing this while working a 40-hour per week job plus the commute. What if I devote 40 hours per week into this thing, like into building more courses, more videos, more marketing, whatever? And so, yeah, at one point I just reached the tipping point. That was when I launched my first online school. That was the Ionic Academy, which was like um, what is Galaxies right now, but for Ionic, a framework for cross-platform development, because I was like one of the biggest creators in the Ionic universe. And then when that launched, I kind of quit my job almost at the same time. That was kind of weird. Like I had my last day at my job, and at the same time, the gates for this platform opened, and there were like immediately, I don't know, 50 people subscribe, and I was like, wow, this is like 50 times $25 per month, and these people really want to pay me that money. Yeah, that was a great feeling back then. So that's how I noticed, yeah, I should just commit myself completely to this. Honestly, it is exactly the same as, I mean, this goes live in like 2 or 3 weeks, but this week or last week, Beto, a good friend from Code with Beto, announced that he left Expo and he's now doing his own thing. So he's essentially at exactly the same point I was, like 7-ish, 8, I don't know when I went solo, 8 years ago. So yeah, Beto, all the best for you. This is exciting. Keep going. I root for you.
Definitely huge kudos for Beto. Um, so so you said that you like started getting some money from those tutorials, but you also need to invest like your life, your time. And how much time do you spend like preparing those tutorials? How do you stay like informed? How does your like typical workday look like?
Okay, so this has of course changed a lot over the years. When I got started, it was just like me and my wife, and my wife was working full time, so I was just home alone, and I just used every minute I had for this. And of course, it everything took me a bit longer. Nowadays, uh, my wife is employed with me, so she's often at home. We have a daughter that limits my time in the morning and in the afternoon, so I'm not constantly working on this. Plus, um, I don't want to make this sound like selfish or I don't know, strange, but it kind of works quite good at the moment, so I don't have to work like 10 hours per day, and I'm taking a lot of freedom. So I can explain what I did today. So I got up very early, which I always do. And then I went to the my swimming session. So 6:30, I was already in the pool swimming. Then I get back home. Then I make breakfast, and then I do whatever I want here. So today I worked on my game, which I'm currently super into. Um, Now I'm recording a podcast with you, and after that, I will probably record some TikTok videos or do something else. So I'm kind of free at this moment. I'm living like a life of a retired person, which is pretty cool. And to answer the other question, I get a lot of questions from the community at this point. Like, I don't know, at least 60% of my videos comes from people asking in YouTube comments or on X or Discord, like, how do I do X? That was always my source of inspiration. So it's kind of funny. Like whenever I released a video, someone posted, "Oh wow, I was working exactly on this. How did you know?" And I'm like, combination of feeling and yeah, just like comments. And if you live in the community, if you daily read like the comments on X, what's going on X, you see new videos, you just like pick up the vibe, and you get a feeling for which kind of news is currently important and what's worth covering, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really happy to hear that you've managed to, like deal with work-life balance. It's difficult for software
Yeah,
engineers, so
absolutely.
I'm really glad for you that you found your way to stay
you
fit.
you can burn out really quickly on that stuff. And a couple of years ago, I don't know, I read that usually like you win if you can stay relevant the longest. So when I got started with Ionic content, there were like 3, 4 other creators. And then after 2 years, there were 2 other. And then after 4 years, there was just me and another. And I just always try to be like consistent. Like every week I drop a tutorial. Or last year I actually changed this to like every 2 weeks now. Drop a bit the frequency and improve quality. But over like the last 11 years, at least every 2 weeks there was a video or a tutorial, and I just kept going. And I saw so many people start a YouTube channel. They throw out 5 videos in the first 7 days, and then there's like one video in the next 30 days, and then you see one like 3 months after. So it's really about consistency and just like sticking with your plans and staying with this. I can produce a lot in a short duration, but that will burn me out. And by following this like slow approach, I was able to enjoy YouTube all the time. I still enjoy making videos and helping people, which other people might not do. So that has kind of been my route to success. And honestly, it's it's probably not for everyone, because the trade-off here is I see a lot of like, my dream was always the digital nomad. I sit in Bali and drink cocktails and work from my MacBook, but that's just not my life. We have a house here. I got to pay off the house. I have a family to feed, and this is just not my reality. So I move a lot slower than those people, like the PETA levels, which is doing 16 hours per day working on a project. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I can't do that. I have to accept that. I have like a slow grind here. But for me, this has always been, I don't know, better. I kind of like just enjoy living and not postponing all the cool stuff until later. I don't want to miss the childhood of my daughter. She's already 7. So in like 10 years, she will mostly do her own stuff anyway. And then I got still time to like grind out some crazy apps. But right now, yeah, this is the season of family for me, and I just try to do good work at my own pace and not get distracted by like how fast other people work, or seem to work, at least on social media.
Sounds good, man. This sounds like a very wise decision. You've also mentioned the your app, the Tiny Harvest app. This is the name. Like, are you using AI to build this, or it's just like your work?
You should ask, are you still writing code yourself? But that would be the better question. Um, yeah, this is an interesting project I've been tinkering on now for almost 3 months. It's a game. It's a like a cozy farming game. Maybe some people have played something like Heyday or so. You got fields. You can craft products. You can sell them. And I started this. I don't know actually why I started. I always wanted to, and I wanted to have something casual which I can play like in portrait mode. That was important to me. I hated when I stand like this in public with a landscape phone. Everyone knows I'm playing something, and I'm a bit, that's a bit awkward to me. So I wanted to have something in portrait. I built this game, and it did way better than expected. Like in the beta, a couple of hundred people joined, and they all said, "Oh, this is amazing. We like this so much." And then I added in-app purchases to the game, and I saw that people frequently bought stuff in the game. And so earlier this year, when I made my plans, I was anyway a bit unsure about like the whole AI stuff currently going on here. So we can probably talk about that at a later point. But I decided that I have a really big opportunity right now with that game. So yesterday I shared that in the last 28 days, this game has made $1,000, which is quite a lot for a game. The gaming category is super hard. And as well, the game is like 2 months old. There are so many things still missing from it. So this game has consumed like almost all my time, and I'm now committing to building the best possible game here. And yeah, this game wouldn't exist with AI. I'm absolutely honest with that. I get some bad comments when I share this on Reddit, where people say, "This is so bad. All the images were AI generated," and I'm like, "Yeah, but that game just wouldn't exist without AI." And it's not just the images. Like I rely basically 95% on LLMs. So I use Cloud Code with the Opus 4.5 model. I previously used in Cursor the built-in models. They did okay-ish to me, but I discovered really that Cloud Code is like the best thing we have since December. And so essentially, if I have a long list of bugs, I just like after my swimming here, I had an hour before this recording, I went through this list. I just go to Claude. So I open up a new window and say, okay, check the 12-hour mission diamond drops. Okay, on the animal building, please include the inventory amount. Okay, please increase the daily merchant crate size image next to the coins. I just do these prompts, I reference the files, and I rarely actually at this point review for these small things what Claude is doing. And yeah, it's just fine. And now before this recording, I use EAS to build my app. And when the recording is done, I got my test flight app here that I can install most likely. Yep, just got the email. So yeah, it's a dream to build software right now with AI, honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. So you said that you're using EAS for your app. So I assume that it's running on Expo and it uses React Native. So was it difficult to decide to use React Native for this kind of app, or it was just like no brainer to use React Native?
So when I got started in November, it was kind of a no-brainer because I'm a content creator still for React Native mostly. That's what I do. And if I do a side project where I commit some time to, it kind of makes sense to just use React Native because I learn stuff, I can create new videos, and that just reinforces everything. Um, Also, it's what I know best, so I wouldn't use Flutter right now or anything because I'm just best with React Native. It works best with AI tools. And Expo is just like the default I use for every project. However, with that being said, I sometimes thought in the past that I might pick up Swift because the problem is that people on iOS just like purchase so much more. I see it in my in-app purchases. It's 95% on the iOS App Store. I don't know why, but on the Play Store, people don't seem to spend money that often. I'm not an Android user myself. I don't know exactly what it is. I heard that Android users are more paying for like remove ads or something, like a one time purchase, but that's a reason for me definitely in the future to consider just doing Swift. But I don't know if like the languages and frameworks are going to be that important in 2 years. If AI can write it anyway, yeah, it can probably also do it in Swift in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Are there some areas that AI like falls short of what an engineer would do in the app? Like, are there some uh, places that you like would discourage people from using AI? Let's just implement that like manually, like we used to do in the old good days without AI.
Um, it's getting rare, honestly. So the initial version that I pieced together and built with AI had a lot of problems, especially in terms of performance. Um, I think it was to some degree the fault of AI, but to some degree was also my fault. I had a discussion initially about whether we should, like I say, we about me and my AI helper here. But, um, we had a discussion about whether we should use a different state management library like Zustand, for example, which is a lot more lightweight. And AI said, yeah, we don't need that. We can do with context. That will be fine. But in the end, that absolutely killed my performance. I had like at some point my game engine file, which was a giant context about like 12K lines. It just piled up. And early after like good feedback and thinking that this app might be something serious, I decided that I had to completely refactor that file. So we went into deep planning, like how we do like little stores. For example, you have like the animal store, the crop store, the player store, the whatever store, instead of this giant context, which constantly updated. And then we had re-rendering going on. It was just a total mess. So AI did not great in the beginning, but of course helped me absolutely through that. Like these were horrible 2 or 3 days. We did like the refactoring and nothing, when you refactor, it's just not working in between. You just can't say 50% in there. Can I try this now? You just have to believe it's going to work out. And that was really hard. But um, this is where AI wasn't great. And I think we can come back to that again because this is where you as a software engineer really need to shine and understand the architecture below it. I should have done a better job in reviewing what we did initially. I should have done a better job in like putting more time into the architecture and planning of that application. Then AI would have probably not made this fault. And the other thing that AI, like in my opinion, right now isn't really good at is in honestly being me. So I sometimes let it write my emails, or I let it create the script for a TikTok video or a YouTube video. And if I read that script, it's just not me. It doesn't sound like me at all. I can even tell it, make it more sound like Simon, because ChatGPT knows me and knows everything about my life. But it it's just not me. I think maybe you can influence this. Maybe this is also my fault. I'm not sure. You can probably like give it a tone and reply in the style of Simon Grimm, but I mean, that's the last thing I have anyway, right? I'm more personal than AI, and I'm a human being, and I am Simon, and the AI is just AI. So I'm kind of happy that it can't be like me at this point yet.
Yeah, okay. You've mentioned that the performance of the AI written code was poor, and I actually have to agree with this opinion. Here at Software Mansion, we also, like, apart from the open source work that we do, apart from all of the libraries that we created and we maintain, we also do some client work. And so we have like several dozens of projects, like actual React Native apps and other apps. And we see that, like, we see an increasing amount of AI generated code. And I personally, I observed some shift from, like, in the type of services that we offer for our clients. So we used to, like, create new apps for startups and for some large companies. And now it's more and more about, optimizing the apps, about performance. So there's like, uh, it's like on a different level. You got to learn new skills. You got to learn how to profile the apps. You need to learn how to debug them, and like the type of services that we offer. Like there's like a new wave of projects. I would say, and I was pretty happy to see that there's like the new trendy type, like AI type AI thing going on, which is the skills, like skill.md files.
Mhm.
um, have you used those? Have you heard about those?
Yeah, I've heard about them. I installed them. So I installed the React Native best practices. I think Vercel also just came out with an agent. And I also installed the Expo skills for like UI and something with publishing. And especially the Expo upgrade skill is what I'm going to use, because right now it's the Expo 55 beta. And I definitely want to upgrade my app to the latest version. I don't know if I'm going to do it during the beta, but so I haven't tried the skill yet, but I saw so many people on X say, "Oh, this skill like one-shotted the upgrade and the migration to Expo 55." So I'm excited to give it a try, and I think this is a great use of AI and agent skills. Um, I don't know why some people still don't use AI. Beto also posted yesterday something where someone left a comment under his video, and that person said like, "Oh, you had so cool videos in the past. Now all this AI unsubscribed." And I'm like, why are you like? What is wrong with you people? If you don't learn to use it, is- I think the problem is people got like, especially software developers right here, got so many skills over the years. You learn like 10, 20, 30 years how to build software and the syntax, and you've been with PHP since 5 versions or whatever. Um, and now AI can just write that code, and all the things you learned about 20 years basically became obsolete in like 2 months. And that scares the shit out of people, out of every developer I know. I've seen so many tweets from developers, from content creators, like all over the board. Everyone is just scared of that stuff. Um, and so I don't know if these are the same people that just don't use AI, or yeah, some people probably just like, it's you can buy a bread in the supermarket, or you can say, I only buy the handcrafted bread from the local market. And I think this is kind of the same. There will be some people in the future that say, oh, I only use handwritten code, only handwritten code. I'm not accepting AI written code. It's for me probably the same level. So I sometimes buy bread in the supermarket. I like to use AI in my app. Everything that makes my life and like shipping apps easier is okay to me. And so I just can't understand how you cannot accept that AI is here. It's not Web3. It is absolutely helpful. And to the defense, last thing about AI, it did create shitty code in the beginning where we had the wrong architecture. But yesterday or 2 days ago, I once again had a major performance issue in a new version of my app. It just randomly, like, it was okay, then it wasn't okay, then it like hang for a couple of seconds, and I described this and I debugged this with both Codex and Claude Code, and they did something. Let's just say something. I don't really understand what they do. I have a cloud sync, and Codex implemented like a hash check of the cloud sync that we do, and Claude also implemented like a batched behavior for updates. And when I run the app now, it is better than it has ever been. Like, these changes made the app so good. I couldn't believe it. I tried it for 2 days because I think something broke, and it's just wrong, but it's just so good now. And this is also possible with AI. Like, you just need to direct it into like where you need it.
Yeah, definitely. It's a common misconception that if you're a software engineer, then you should just write code. But the reality is just way different.
It's
Being a
changing.
software,
It's changing, right?
yeah, but it always has been about solving problems, and AI is just another tool in your tool belt that you can use to solve problems. And it's up to you if you want to use it or not. But there could be other engineers who choose a different set of tools, and they might be more efficient with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. The efficiency gain is just, if I look at I have the list of bugs and ideas open. If I would have gone through this like list of tasks and just, yeah, created that stuff by hand, the fixes would have probably taken me a month or at least like 2 weeks. And I just honestly did all of them in about 1.5 hours before this call.
Do you want to make some predictions about how software engineering is gonna look like in, let's say, like 5 or even like 3 years?
Yeah.
My personal take is that we will be just sitting in front of four screens, just controlling like 18 agents, making sure they do the good work. And I'm curious to hear what's yours.
Yeah, honestly, I think we're heading that direction. I read this from other engineers as well, engineers at Google or at Netflix. Essentially, their day is right now reviewing the code that AI has written. That has become their job, or planning new features, like doing the architecture and then letting AI do the stuff. Um, yeah, I think we just have to accept that this is probably how software development is going to look like. As I said, it's writing good code at this point. It's just getting better. I don't know if at some point like the models get more expensive and then it just turns around, but I don't think so. I just think this is a new reality. There was an article recently that was called, I think, "The Death of Software Development," which brought this up that like traditional software development is dead, but like the role of software engineers is still super alive, and we're essentially in the, what did you say, the industrial revolution of software development. And I think that's very fitting. Like, if you think back then, people did everything by hand, and then this giant shift happened during the Industrial Revolution, and everything changed. And people probably couldn't believe it or didn't want to believe the new reality that they now have to go to a factory and work there for 10 hours. Maybe it's the same for software development, in like 2, 3 years. I don't just I don't see how I, at this point, can go back to writing a tab bar by hand. Like, why? Why would I do if I can just tell Claude, implement a native Expo tab bar, use images, enter, and then I sit here and do something else? Why would I go look into the documentation, look up how the unstable import looks, and then do this by hand and look how the Android are? Why? It's just like, it doesn't make sense to me anymore. So I think in 2, 3 years, what we see right now is going to be the reality of most people who are allowed to use AI. Because I know in Germany, or in general in the EU, we have some interesting laws sometimes. I hope we don't footgun ourselves in like limiting the AI use. But I know companies are not prepared. They don't have the right policies yet, because if you use some AI tools, your code might be like the LLMs are going to learn from your code, and that's against the company's policy. So I don't know. Have you seen something like that with software mention and the like what companies think about this?
We're using AI for those places where we would do it manually like 10 times slower. Uh, I talked about the performance work that we do. So the way we work is that you need a human to do some thinking, but then some parts could be automated. And for instance, uh, I want to highlight one contribution from Bartek Woniarz from Reanimated team. So like he's one of the maintainers of Reanimated. He implemented shared element transitions.
Nice.
I was really impressed to see that he built an internal dev tool that would help him develop shared element transitions. So he just vibe coded a whole new dev tool for React Native that would show him the views on the screen and some mutations and some updates. So this is the part of software that like we don't ship to the users. This is just a dev tool that he used to implement some other feature. And this was like really impressive to see how efficient AI was at implementing this, but we're not just gonna ship that code. He implemented the rest of code like probably himself, like using AI just for auto completion and just
Yeah.
to write some, just several lines of code. But it would take him literally months to implement the dev tool, and we would ultimately decide that it's just not worth it. So it's really nice to see how AI accelerates the development of code that is not written in 100% by AI.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that sums it up. It's gonna be a huge accelerator, and if you don't use it, okay, but then your company, your project, or whatever is missing on like this kind of boost of acceleration that could make it 10 or even like 100 times faster.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we've talked about how AI can be used to develop applications. And now maybe let's shift and talk about how AI can be used to educate people, how it can be used for content creation. Do you use AI to create your content, and how do you envision like AI for education in general?
Yeah, this is the big question mark I have myself. So, in terms of using it, I definitely use it. I'm not writing a whole lot of like written tutorials at this point anymore because I decided like who's using Google anyway to find my page anymore? I don't see the huge benefit of that. As I said before, I sometimes use it for emails, for scripts of videos and short form videos, but then it is more like a starting point, and then I have to refine it because it just sounds so like a robot was saying that stuff. It's just not me. So it definitely helps me to get started a whole lot faster. If I plan like an email sequence of like a promotion for galaxies, it definitely helps me in like telling me, okay, in the first email, focus on this, in the second, we focus on that. Do it like 5 days apart. That is a good time frame, and yada yada yada. I absolutely use it like that. In terms of teaching, this is honestly where I'm thinking about this since probably like Christmas, like a month now, and I haven't found the answer yet. The problem is that, as I said before, I just in the past I did many videos where I have some like these clone videos where, let's say, build an Airbnb clone, and that was like a 4 hour tutorial where I went through everything and coded everything together. I have a really hard time in seeing how people are going to watch a 4 hour coding video where I type every single line by hand in about 6 to 12 months. It's just my internal problem. I just can't envision people doing that anymore. And so I'm a bit scared of creating new videos right now. I did actually create one which comes out in February. Maybe it's already live when this episode goes live, which will be called How I Would Learn React Native in 2026. And essentially, I don't write a line of code in there. I do prompts with AI, and then I explain the mental models behind this. So I say build the tab bar, and then I explain, okay, this is using the Expo router. Expo router uses file-based routing, so we're going to expect some files here. These are the files that define the tab bar. Then we do something like, okay, I want to have a stack navigation in my page. And then it implements that, and I talk about the concept. So my take on it is that I can do more of these like mental models architecture kind of videos, and that the like writing code by hand videos are essentially done. Like, I don't know if I will give it probably a try 1 or 2 times, and as we said before, some people still like to write code by hand, but I think it's going to be a minority in 6, 12, 18 months. So I don't really see the value in that anymore. But I also want to, for example, just cover the latest stuff. That is still something AI is not really helpful with. So if there's a new reanimated version or something you guys bring out, I want to do a video about like what's cool in reanimated and what's in there. Then we can probably write like 2, 3 lines of code to show how finally shared element transitions work with the new architecture. But um, everything else, yeah, I have a big question mark. I don't know if other creators have figured this out yet. I think they're just as lost as I am. It's the same for some DevRel people at companies. I saw a tweet from someone who's working at, I think, Convex, who was hired to create like videos about Convex. And he said, I don't know why I should do videos about Convex anymore. Like the type of videos I did, nobody's going to watch them. So yeah, this is the scary part, honestly, to me, because this was kind of my business model. I sell online courses, or I sold online courses in the past, and I don't see how well this is going to work out over the next like 2, 3 years. But it's also exciting at the same time because this means I gotta try out something new and just like back at the drawing board, figuring out what works and what people want to see in the AI age.
Yeah, definitely. So how do you stay informed on what's happening in the ecosystem, on what's happening in the industry? What are the like other content creators or other like social media platforms that you follow people on? How do you stay informed?
Yeah, this is still very manual, honestly. I wish I probably think I should automate this or build a bot or use Claude bot and set this up on a VPS so it can inform me every day about what's going on. It's probably going to happen in the next 12 months, but right now this is still like the old school way. I'm subscribed to This Week in React from Sebastian Robert, and they also, of course, have a huge section on React Native. I'm, of course, subscribed to the other usual podcasts in the industry, the usual newsletters from all the companies. I read every day on X, of course. I sometimes just check also, I use the X Pro tools or whatever it's called. So you can have like different decks and then you can have like a keyword and see the latest posts in that category. But since I don't heavily use X for anything else, usually the latest React Native news bubble up for me, and I see like, oh, Expo posted something. Oh, someone from Software Mention released something. It usually bubbles up for me, and I see it on there. On YouTube, yeah, I'm following the most of the creators in the space, but I used to watch a lot of Theo's content. I'm not doing that. He's just doing too much content for me. I can't keep up with watching all his stuff. So yeah, it's probably a combination of reading between the lines on X and being subscribed to the right newsletters. But again, I think Claudebot or some AI bot will figure this out in the future and just like pull in from the different sources and say, "Hey Simon, this is going on today. This is important."
Yeah, I was about to ask you how do you differ like signal from noise? How do you know what's really important and what's critical for the ecosystem, and like what's just another JS framework that nobody's gonna use in in 3 days?
Yeah, I think this is a bit honestly my gut feeling at this point. This is also something AI is not doing yet. So of course, if something gets a lot of attention on X, I know that it's kind of like for some reason it's interesting to people. But I also sometimes skip these topics or kind of skip. For example, last year, um, we know Lynx was released from like the creators of TikTok, and then we later had Valdi from WhatsApp. I think it was Valdi, right? Yeah. And I did a video on,
From Snapchat, I think.
yeah, Snapchat. I did a video on Lynx to give it a try and to cover it, and the video was did okay, but I kind of felt like this is super early days. Like, there's almost no community behind this. And although TikTok is a giant name behind Lynx, I'm not sure if I want to go down that route. And the same was true for Valdi as well. Um, it was so early days. Yeah, it was cool for like a video, but then I thought, yeah, this the React Native ecosystem is just so good at this point that I don't really need another framework right now. So yeah, I left these out. Of course, I think everything that Software Mention or CallStack or Expo is doing is always worth a video or a headline, because that is usually the stuff that helps people in the React Native world. And sometimes, of course, there are people. I have this one person, Austin, who was a member of Galaxies, who's now working on like a pretty epic dev tool for React Native, which is like a little overlay, and he has big plans for this and making it like a general dev tool. This is cool to see, and I love to cover that when I see some people coming out with like really cool stuff. But honestly, yeah, selecting what is important at this point is mostly my gut feeling, and just knowing that React Native is at a good point. What we got is good. React is okay. Yeah, if there's anything in the React Native community that is helpful to me, then that is definitely worth covering.
Yes, I can agree with that. I I think that the audience also, like, beyond just the content, also expects the content creators to be opinionated in some way, to have like the gut feeling that you've mentioned, that something maybe is not that popular but is big, and alternatively that something is very popular but it's not actually useful, or it's like too early for it to be useful. So I also follow like lots of people on Twitter, and I mostly do that for their opinions rather than the facts. Like I can just search GitHub uh, and Reddit and other cool websites and find the content there. But the part that I like is the opinions and what they think will happen in the future with those tools. So this is my main reason for following some people. So if you're such a person, then I will follow you.
Yeah, I should put out more opinions. I was always not hesitant, but I'm I'm usually careful with putting out strong opinions, because that just I don't want to get into like big trouble, you know? I try to be a bit more polite and in the middle ground. I make my usual jokes about Flutter because that's just part of being a React Native developer.
You're doing the
Uh,
same, man. You're doing the same thing.
yeah, but I try to do it in a gentle way. I usually put up something afterwards and say, like, use whatever tool fits your life and your project. I don't care if you're using Flutter.
No, you just have to be a nice guy, a nice person, and just don't do anything evil. Okay, so you've mentioned Valdi, you've mentioned links, and so I thought maybe let's talk about the future of React Native, because it sounds like those tools could be the successors of React Native to some extent. I I would definitely won't say that they will be the successors, but they seem to resolve some long-standing issues in React Native. Uh, and they do it quite good. I mean, I know that the links dual thread model is kind of inspired by what Reanimated and what worklets do. So you have the JavaScript thread and you have the UI thread, and also Valdi. It looks like has all of the most like all of the critical features built in, like animations, gestures. So maybe let's talk about the shape of React Native ecosystem for a moment. So what do you think? Do you think that React Native is going in the right direction? Do you think that the new architecture is good or bad? What are your opinions on that?
I mean, the new architecture is great, of course. I love it as well. But yeah, in terms of the direction of React Native, that's a good question. I don't think that these like links and Valdi, if we now stick to those, I don't see how they replace React Native anytime soon. React Native is just so big, and the React Native community is just gigantic. What I think is going to happen is I like seeing these frameworks come up, and I think they will heavily influence what React Native is doing in the future. I think React Native already took some inspiration in parts of what Links did, and I'm probably sure that they will also take inspiration in what Valdi does, right? It's just the stuff that they do can't be transferred to React Native in like 6 months or even a year. Just think about how long it took to go to the new architecture. So, whatever they have implemented, won't be in React Native for the next foreseeable future, but I still think it will absolutely influence and shape where React Native is going. And so, if React Native can bring in the good parts of these frameworks, then React Native will just be the best thing in the future again, just like it is right now. Those frameworks will then not really have a chance to overtake. It's like React as well. React then learned from other frameworks and brought in good parts here and there and improvements, so it kept staying the best. And I think, and probably also this is like my internal wish, I hope that React Native is gonna do the same in the future.
Yeah, let's hope so. I can agree with you. Uh, the community of React Native is just so good. It feels good to be here.
Yeah.
It's not only about the tools, the technical side. Maybe there are some downsides, some limitations of React Native, but the community, man, is just so nice being here. We'll be hosting App.js conference this May in Krakow, so you should come. I think maybe we can talk about React Native. There's gonna be some really interesting talks about on what's happening currently in the ecosystem. So this is the best place to learn what people are working on, get to know some new people, and yeah, I just love the networking part. The number of issues that have been resolved during App.js and in general during conferences, this is crazy. Like if you just go and there's like 3 or 4 people's group, you should join them. You should like watch their screens, and they you can be sure that they're working on something really cool. So if you don't have plans for May this year, come to Krakow, come to App.js conference, be
Yeah,
there.
the funny thing this year is that I actually might have a topic for a talk, like how I built this game and how it's now already making like revenue. That could actually be a cool story for a talk. But then I heard, the last time I was there as a visitor, which was quite chilled. So if you're not a visitor, if you're giving a talk, that feeling might be different. I'm gonna arrive and be excited the whole time. But I will think about it. I will think about it. Absolutely, it has been a great conference when I was there 2 years ago. Like meeting all the people from the community, it's just it's priceless.
Okay, so I think that we'll be wrapping up. Maybe as a last question, I want to ask you if you could like send one message to all of the mobile engineers across the world, what would it be? What would
Only
you
the
say?
mobile engineers or the
Mhm.
React Native engineers.
You can choose. Up to you.
I mean, honestly, it's learn the AI tools, learn to use the AI tools. That is my main thing. It sounds like I might sound like a broken radio, but it's just my life at this point. I saw a tweet yesterday from Theo where he said like he's only thinking in prompts anymore, and it's for me the same. I don't leave the house for a walk unless I have started a long running Claude task. I'm trying to max out everything. Like every minute before leaving the house, I'm starting something. This is like taking over, and it's not gonna change from here. It's just getting better. So if you're still behind on this, just get used with the tools. I think in Swift it is possible. It's probably in everything possible, or otherwise at least use some sort of code completion. But just saying AI didn't work because I tried it once and it generated shitty code is just not a good excuse anymore. You're missing out on so much acceleration, as you called it. Like this is really making you a 10x or a 100x developers. People alone can ship giant things. This application, my game Tiny Harvest, like people say, "What's the team behind this?" And I'm like, "It's just me and Claude. I'm just like constantly doing that stuff." So the speed you unlock with AI is incredible. And if you're not using it in your apps, then you're missing out and you risk really to fall behind in 6, 12, 24 months. And AI is not replacing all developer jobs. That is just like scaremongering people. But if you don't adapt and accept the new reality that your job description might heavily change over the next month, then yeah, you will fall behind and your job will be replaced by AI.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Okay, so if you're not subscribing Simon's channel yet, then you should hit that subscribe button. Simon, the name is galaxies.dev on YouTube. Anything else?
Right, yeah. Galaxies.dev is my platform for learning React Native. I still think learning the fundamentals is super important if you're becoming a developer. If you're just a vibe coder, then you're probably anyway not listening to the Software Engine podcast. And right now, I'm mostly focused on building out my game, Tiny Harvest. So if you're into gaming or just want to see what's possible with React Native, look it up. It's both available on Play Store, Google Play Store, as well as iOS App Store. Search for Tiny Harvest, and then you're going to see the little corn, and hopefully you enjoy it as much as many people already do. That's my main thing right now.
Okay, thanks for joining us, Simon.
Thanks for
It's
having
really
me.
nice talking to you. If you want to see more episodes of this series called Software Mention, then just write in the comment on who would you like to see next. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe button on our Software Mention channel and stay tuned for the next episodes.